to this session on Pay by Bank in the UK. It's basically just looking at the open banking opportunity open to you as merchants. With Pay by Bank, there's better security, faster settlements, lower costs, and ultimately it's a smarter way to collect payments. In this session, we're going to look at the rise of Pay by Bank in the UK, looking at some of the numbers over the last few years. I'm going to show how it works. We've got the journey and then a short video just to outline kind of so you can see the flow for yourselves. The security advantages, why Pay by Bank is inherently safer. We're going to look at settlement. Again, that's key for most people who are watching this session. And basically, when can I get my money and getting it faster? Then we're going to look at the full open banking benefit stack for merchants. And then finally, we're going to touch upon Access PaySuite's open banking or Pay by Bank proposition. Just looking at some of the stats, Pay by Bank is basically on the rise. As you can see, there's a 53% year-on-year growth, especially through 2025. 16 million plus active UK open banking users by the end of 2025. And also Pay by Bank, there were 33 million transactions alone in November 2025. That's quite a staggering number. And just in terms of timelines, you can see things like HMRC basically was the main kind of kickoff when they adopted Pay by Bank for bank payments. That was in 2021. A year later, there were 68 million kind of open banking payments, and that's up 172% year on year. A year later, there were up to 6 million active users, and that's up to, as we can see above, up to 16 million by the end of last year. And also now a key one as well, which will help drive things, is the likes of Amazon and eBay have added Pay by Bank at checkout. So that is a real kind of getting into the mainstream market there. Ultimately, there are 4 key steps into how Pay by Bank works. Firstly, the customer will basically select to Pay by Bank. So they will then basically pick the bank that they want to use for. And it could be Barclays, Lloyds. I think there's about 35 or so banks in the UK that support this. They will then basically be redirected to their app and they will basically then authenticate themselves. And that could be biometrics, Face ID, fingerprint or passcode. They'll review the transaction and then maybe have to type in a short PIN number. And then it's done. It's as simple as that. And the funds basically move instantly via faster payments and the merchant receives an email and a confirmation in real time. Sitting behind that, ultimately, there's a regulated PISP which connects everything together, and that's where we fit in. Here is a short video where the customer is using a mobile phone to make a payment. So they've gone to need to pay £2,450 and they select Pay by Open Banking. They next have an option of which bank they want to choose. So in this case, they pick Barclays. And then this is then log into the app with biometrics, and then they just confirm this. So in this case, they'll probably enter a PIN number just to confirm that they want to make the payment. And that's just quickly processing, and that is done. It really is as quick and easy as that. It's a very, very quick and simple process. No card entry, nothing like that at all. Next up, we're going to have a quick look as to why Pay by Bank is better, focusing on things like security and the settlement aspects, which we touched upon in the agenda slide a short while ago. Ultimately, as you can see on the screen, Pay by Bank or open banking fraud rates in the H1 2025 were 0.013%. And that's compared to 0.045% across the whole industry. So ultimately, they're about 3.5 times more safe. And also how this is brought about, ultimately, there are things like no card data is shared or stored, so there's nothing to steal. There's also strong customer authentication in the customer's own banking app. That's key. And also this is backed up by biometrics, with Face ID and fingerprint and sometimes a passcode. And also, as you saw in the video, those payments are pre-filled by a regulated provider, so there's no kind of manual entry of card and entry areas of payment details for that as well. And just at the bottom of the screen, you can see some of the kind of security by some of the comparisons around card versus Pay by Bank. In this case, things like there's card data exposure. Obviously, with cards, there's the PAN, there's expiry date and card security code. Whereas with Pay by Bank, there is no card data involved at any stage. Even in the authentication process, 3D secure and strong customer authentication, this can be bypassed for low-risk transactions, but every transaction that goes through Pay by Bank has bank-grade strong customer authentication, literally every transaction. There's no way around it. Also with chargebacks, in this case with cards, the merchant bears that risk and that cost. But with Pay by Bank, because the customer basically authorises the transaction themselves, as you saw in the video, there are no chargebacks. Again, that's a key advantage, especially for those of maybe in a slightly higher risk environment. And as we've touched upon already, the fraud rate is about 3 times lower, which is great. A key one, again, for everybody who's watching this session, ultimately people want to get their money faster. So in terms of card settlement, this is normally between 1 and 5 working days, depending on your agreement with the acquirer. And there's a kind of a lengthy process now where the authorization of the transaction at the point of sale, there's back capture and submission. The network then clears the transaction. The acquirer settles the money into the bank account to the merchant, and then ultimately the funds arrive in the merchant's account. That's great. That's fine for most merchants. But with Pay by Bank, that kind of whole thing is done within normally under about 15 seconds. So again, as you saw from the video, the customer authenticates in the banking app, the payment's initiated by faster payments, and the funds arrive in the merchant's account. And just some stats there. 95% of UK faster payments settle in under 15 seconds, the whole process. And that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So there's no weekends, no bank holidays. It doesn't matter with Pay by Bank account. And again, just to give an example here, you can see on the screen, a merchant who maybe processes, say, £50,000 a day with a 2-day card settlement has about £100,000 of their money kind of locked within the system. But with Pay by Bank, that capital is freed up immediately. So again, you've got quicker access to funds, which is key for a lot of merchants, especially the current climate. Another great area as well with Pay by Bank is the ease of use for customers. Because obviously the customers are authenticating in the banking app, which they already know, there's a lot more trust. Again, with card payments, sometimes if people get fired off to a page where they're not entirely sure, they might abandon the cart or just not go ahead and pay. But again, as we touched upon there, I mean, there's no card details to enter at any point, which is great. It's a familiar interface. Again, they're using their own banking app. There's biometric approval. Again, we touched upon this, and then we touched upon the instant confirmation. So again, the customer has real-time kind of clarification that payment's gone through. They can see it in their bank account, and their freed funds. It's all available there. Again, so that's key for most customers as well. So as a whole, the wider kind of open banking or Pay by Bank account benefit stack, ultimately, we've seen before, there's lower fraud. There are no chargebacks. As we said before, it's the customer who's authenticating that transaction themselves. There tends to be lower costs for merchants as well. There are no interchange fees or scheme fees, or no gateway fees, in fact. So basically, there are obviously fees for processing Pay by Bank account, but they're a lot cheaper than card payments. Also, we've looked at instant settlement on that last slide, where we touched upon now 1 to 5 days against 15 seconds. Yeah, and the key one as well for many people is there is a PCI scope reduction because there's no card data. Therefore, it reduces the PCI burden, which again can be quite onerous on some organisations, especially those of you with complex setups and processing a large number of transactions from multiple channels. And also, again, as we've looked at, there's real-time reconciliation. So again, as the money appears in real time, you know exactly what's come in. It's in your bank account. And again, you can really match it against all your orders and invoices that have gone out. There are lots and lots of kind of use cases for Pay by Bank. So it's not just for Amazon and eBay. Again, it could be used in local authorities, council tax and local authority payments. It can also be used in housing and rent, for charges, things irregular ad hoc payments, things getting fixed, service charges and what have you. It can be used for invoicing as a way of B2B payments. Again, you can embed it, the option to Pay by Bank in your invoices as another way of ways that your merchants, your customers can pay you. We've touched upon e-commerce checkout already. Like I said, Amazon and eBay do it. If they do it, everyone else should. It can be used by charities as well. So again, it's a great way where the charity can receive, hopefully maybe cheaper than card payments, they can receive kind of one-off payments for people using their bank accounts. Again, it's a great way for charities to add another kind of revenue stream, again, in these times. And again, there's no reason why you can't pay utilities and subscription bills as well, especially for where the value changes every month or it's like a one-off payment for something. Again, it's a great way that it can be used there. A question we get asked a lot is obviously as Pay by Bank or open banking is relatively new, is around the regulatory framework side of things. And just rest assured, Pay by Bank or open banking in the UK is underpinned by a robust and evolving regulatory framework. that builds confidence for merchants and consumers alike. And you can see kind of 4 key areas on the slide. Ultimately, obviously, the FCA is one of the key players, and any PISP must be FCA authorised, and there are strict conduct, capital, and security requirements apply. And there are obviously some key consumer redress mechanisms in place as well. Again, we've touched upon this already. There is strong customer authentication, and it's mandatory on every pay by bank account transaction under UK law. It's not optional if it's under a certain amount, and also biometric or multi-factor authentication on every transaction. So there are no exemptions. So that's key as well. Every transaction has to be confirmed with strong customer authentication. It's also backed up by quite a new act, the Data Use and Access Act 2025, and this has embedded open banking within the UK's smart data framework. And this ultimately will provide long-term statutory foundation and enables open finance expansion. And finally, there are some standards that open banking kind of adheres to, and basically with API availability averaging about 99.8%. Normally, it's a sub 350 millisecond response times and over 2 billion API calls a month with a 99.4% success rate. So again, that's quite staggering numbers that we're looking at there. So at a glance, we've got just comparing some of the things that we've touched upon here today. Cards versus pay by bank. Again, we kind of see it as a complementary product. So we're not saying rip out all your card payments and just take pay by bank, but it's a great way of offering choice. So just again, a couple of things that we've touched upon already. The settlement speed, it's seconds, not days. The fraud rate is about 3 times lower. There are no chargebacks. Transaction costs tend to be cheaper because, again, there's no interchange, no schemes, no gateway fees. There is no card data involved. There is minimal or reduced PCI scope compared to cards. And again, with authentication, I know we've touched upon it a few times, but this is a key one. There is strong customer authentication with low risk exemptions, but with pay by bank, it's mandatory on every payment. And obviously there's the availability side as well. Again, business day settlement cycles compared to 24/7, 365 via faster payments. So again, you can see how they stack up against each other, but we do see them as complementary payment options. And just to touch upon the Access PaySuite open banking kind of stack, what we do, we deliver pay by bank as part of a unified payment platform. Again, combining all direct debit payments and card payments, that is a key thing. We are a FCA regulated PISP, so we operate in a regulated environment. The unified platform is key, so that's one thing we're really also keen to show people. Having everything in one place, that's great for reconciliation. No logging into 3 or 4 different platforms, it's all there in one place. We do support hosted payment pages. Again, these can be pre-built and branded for you as a merchant, and you can then position pay by bank and all the other card payments and digital wallets that are supported in the order that you wish. And also, we also have an API first kind of solution as well. Again, everything is supported by APIs as well. So there's lots and lots of ways that you can kind of start taking open banking, get it integrated into your payment channel and payment flow. There are some key takeaways I want you to take from this session. Firstly, pay by bank is no longer niche. 16 million users with 53% growth and Amazon and eBay adoption. The security is second to none. Like I said, with about 3.5% lower fraud, there's no card data and strong customer authentication on every transaction. The key one for most of you in finance, like we've said before, settlement in seconds and not days. So that will transform your cash flow. There are lower costs and no chargeback. I mean, that's a win-win for everyone, really, isn't there? And ultimately, as we touched on before, Access PaySuite deliver this to you in a single unified FCA regulated platform. All your payment methods in one place. And with that, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for attending the session. If you want any further information around Pay by Bank, how to add it, any queries that you have, please speak to your Access salesperson, CSM or account manager, and we'd be more than happy to discuss this with you further. And with that, I want to say thanks again for attending and thanks for your time.